We are beginning a program today, and it's a pilot program which will certainly grow into something larger and larger, and that is a community contact tracing program. We've done contact tracing all along. That a contact is a person who's been exposed to someone that we document to have the COVID infection. When we find someone who has a COVID infection, those people are immediately isolated. But we also work with them to figure out who their contacts were. Luckily, because you have been doing such a great job of cooperating and staying indoors, staying isolated, it used to be there were 10 contacts, at least, for every patient that we would find. Now, it looks like there are probably only 2 or 3 or 4 contacts, not surprisingly, because most people have been staying away from others. And that's good news. But the purpose of this program is to bring on people. We're going to start with 10 people. We may bring on up to 50 or even more as the program grows and as we see the needs for it. As we do more testing, we will find more and more people who have COVID-19. And again, we'll isolate every one of them, and we will find every one of their contacts, and we will make sure that they stay quarantined, and we'll check in with them every day. In other words, what this program means is that we're going to do a more complete job, and we're going to do a more meticulous job of making it less and less possible for others in the county to run into someone with COVID-19 infection. It's not just our county that's bringing more people on. There are going to be thousands of people hired who will be these contact investigators throughout the state. And this is occurring in many, many other states as well, perhaps all of the states in our country. We will be giving intensive training to these people, training not only for identifying and finding contacts, but also in terms of how to be sensitive about doing it. We also realize that as we find more contacts, some of the people we find are going to have trouble being isolated. For instance, if they live in a home where there's only one bathroom and there are 3 or 4 other people living there, and those people don't have COVID infection, we're not going to be able to keep the person in that home. Every person who we're isolating, for instance, needs to have their own bathroom. And so we'll be moving people like this into other kinds of housing that we have available. They'll also have other needs, perhaps, food, whatever it's going to be. The county will be there to back them up and to support them.
Yeah, if those Gestapo show up at our door, they better have their ankle guards on, because I'm going to go to town on those ankles. Welcome to our new world, our new normal. If there's one thing about life that I can say is interesting, I always wondered what it was like to kind of be living at the time when the Soviet Union was just coming into sort of fruition. People started to see all the changes all around them, how people started to act so different. Well, I guess I'm kind of getting to see it live now. And it's so bizarre to see, especially that Ventura County guy with the morbidly obese or strangely shaped woman doing the sign language. It reminds me, oh, there goes Lucy after some birds. That's my girl. Yeah, next time. Yeah, next time I'll get him. I'll get him. It kind of reminds me of I remember elementary school, part of the 12-year concentration camp that everyone has to go to. And I remember quite vividly actually, grade 6 English class. And I've basically been writing, we've written our newsletter. It's actually coming up on our 10th year anniversary on June 1st. So that's 10 years of writing a few issues per month. Before that, I always used to do blogs. Now I do a lot more just videos. But my point being, I've always been a pretty good writer. And in grade 6, I remember sitting there going, this guy's an idiot. He's telling me to read a book, and this guy's clearly just a moron and completely incompetent and not capable of doing anything. So they'd say, hey, read this book and then tell me what you thought it meant, what the author meant. So I would, and he'd go, that's wrong. Here's what he meant. And I'd be like, how do you know? And I just remember going, I gotta get out of here. I'm surrounded by like these idiots. That's how I it reminds me of that with this Ventura County guy. Like, actually almost any of these politicians, Cuomo or whoever, Justin Trudeau, just name any of them, Nancy Pelosi, whatever you want to name. I would never, ever hire them for any of my companies, ever. But now, and the way it's all been set up, and this is a little bit what Idiocracy talked about. Oh, there goes Lucy. almost got him, Lucy. Yeah, she's my girl. Woo, yeah. I forgot what I was talking about. I'd rather really just watch Lucy run around than think about this stuff. Oh yeah, Idiocracy. So we're basically ruled by the idiots now. And even David Icke has kind of brought this up. He's like, the world's run by psychopaths and ruled by idiots. And again, that's what that Ventura County thing is. It's like, wow, if I lived in Ventura County, glad I don't right now, this loser, complete loser, just look at him. Go back and look. Like the guy, probably, oh my gosh. Not to mention the sign language woman. Just like totally useless, barely even human being, I think. These are the people who are sending out people to houses to take you out of your house now. And I remember when I've been talking about this is going to happen for years, and I didn't know exactly how, obviously. But I knew this is where it was all headed. It was very, very, very clear. One of my most famous sort of things on TheMTube, which is still up, not many anymore. We just got another few taken down today. Basically every day they take down a couple. So at this rate, all of our videos will be taken down soon. But I did an interview, I think it was around 2013, and I said, get out of the US, the collapse will be messy.
So you look at Paul Krugman. In the last year, he's come up with 2 plans, and he writes for the New York Times. His first plan was fake an alien invasion. And he said, what will happen is that everyone will create guns to fight aliens, and that will boost our economy. That didn't really work out. And then he said, well, let's make a coin and make it worth $1 trillion. We're in the last days of this financial system in the US. This is Zimbabwe. Government can never help anything. And the US government is actually showing now that it really just hurts everything. And this ship is going down. This is the USSR in 1989.
That seems a bit dramatic.
I hate to bring the truth so honestly and so outspoken, and I'm sure the people on CNBC don't want to hear this.
Well, lots of people wouldn't believe you. They'd say, you know what, you're out in left field. You're nuts.
They would have said the same thing in 1989 with the Soviet Union. The biggest jurisdiction that I avoid is the US. That's going to be ground zero for this economic collapse. Just get as far away from the US and from the Western world because this collapse is going to be messy.
But even all along, I told people this is headed towards basically what you saw in East Germany, Soviet Union, that kind of stuff. Very, very clearly headed in that direction. And a lot of sort of patriot types would say, well, if they ever start getting like that, we're going to start fighting back. Well, they're coming to your houses now. So let's see what happens now. I was meditating this morning, and I kind of came to a bit of a realization that everything that's been foisted on the world in the last few months is a bit like a death ritual. And what I mean by that is, I was thinking about me personally, and I'm probably one of the people on earth who most expected all this stuff to happen. But even I even said this before, I said this before all this lockdown happened and everything, before they shut everything down. I said one of my biggest fears of this coming crisis collapse is, there goes Lucy, almost Lucy, is that they'll stop playing NHL hockey. And of course, one of the first things that shut down like months ago was NHL hockey. So I was kind of meditating. I'm like, man, it's kind of like a mourning process because I really liked watching it. It was like my real one escape. There goes Lucy. Yeah, almost Lucy, almost. And I was like, you know, this is probably a lot like that for most people, but even worse. Here goes Lucy again. But even worse, like I just lost hockey basically. I've been doing fine financially, doing incredibly well actually. Bitcoin just hit $10,000, up 150% last 2 months. So I didn't lose my job. In fact, my job is kind of this and the Dollar Vigilante newsletter, and it's been doing incredibly well. So compared to 99% of people, I'm doing way better than them. And I still kind of feel this kind of like mourning sort of a process. And part of it's the hockey. It is. I have to be just totally honest. Like, I really miss it. It was my thing that just took my mind off of everything else, right? That's what those things are, bread and circuses, right? But I just got into it. I've been into it my whole life. But I was like, man, it's like the whole world's going through a sort of a mourning process. And many, many people are losing way more than just what I lost, which is basically just hockey, which is nothing. I totally, I know some people are like, oh, you poor guy, you lost your hockey. There's people starving and stuff. It's like, yeah, I know. But my point is that probably almost everyone in the world's kind of going through a mourning process. They've either lost their sports like me, or lost their job, way worse, lost all their money, way worse, might even be kind of depressed and suicidal right now. Basically, their whole world's changed, and in some sense, so is mine. It's like they put the whole world into a, like I said, sort of like a death or mourning ritual, all over nothing. And there's so much stuff going on. And it's getting crazy. Like, this is starting to really look like East Germany type stuff. In fact, even in, I think this is in Canada. I didn't look it up too much, but I saw it was some people doing a hunger strike. Something about they're protesting what the government's doing. It might be in regards to these lockdowns. I think it was. Well, here's what happened.
You come in here like this. Mm-hmm. Are we so dangerous to you? Look at us.
I hope not. I hope everything goes smoothly.
What?
I don't know you. My job, I have to make sure that I protect myself and protect everyone that I'm dealing with. Right? That's the purpose.
Wait a second. Yesterday, a bunch of your colleagues came, mm-hmm. and also on a like almost SWAT team. You should bring tanks next time.
Can you stand up, please, sir? However you want. Can you stand up, please?
No. Come on. You have to stand up.
Can you stand up, please?
No.
Please do this.
No.
I beg of you, one last time I'm going to ask you. Stand up on your own. put your hands behind your back, please. Thank you.
You're sick people. Fathers did this, a long time ago, and a long time ago they persecuted our brothers and sisters.
Do you choose to leave the phone here?
Yeah, if you're saying you're not gonna let me
Well, you can't
record,
have the phone in the back of the cruiser. That's his policy, right? So.
can I
You
have
stand
it
up, please,
in a
ma'am?
hospital?
No, you
You're
can't
gonna
have the
give
phone
it?
in a hospital, but you can go in a property bag for you if you wish.
So these people didn't like what's going on, not surprised at all, and for whatever reason decided to do a hunger strike in their house. But those cops showed up and for their own safety, took them away to a psychiatric facility. Another word for that is the re-education camps. Put them on some drugs, get them talking to some people, get some hypnosis going in their heads so that they buy into what's going on. It seems like very soon, unless people wake up, and I have some solutions again. Actually, we're done the flyer. I'll let you know about that in a second, or in a minute, or 5 minutes, I don't know when. Soon, that you can hand out to people to wake people up, because that's the only way I can see right now that we have a chance of this slowing down or stopping, is if enough people wake up. Well, it's kind of wet over here. There goes Lucy. Yeah, almost Lucy. Almost. Next time. What we're going to be seeing soon, if this doesn't stop or slow down, is just like in East Germany. You're going to have your neighbors spying on you. We're already seeing that. All the governments are really proposing that. The government's spying on you. They want you to do this contact tracing and all this kind of stuff. You won't really be able to speak your mind in public because someone will overhear you and call the government hotline about a conspiracy theorist. Then you'll go off to the re-education camps. Like, this is, I don't know, like it's unbelievable to watch it happening in real time. And meanwhile, the mainstream media does nothing but put out complete propaganda, and people that put out real information get removed. This is book burning. This is just like Soviet Union, East Germany, whatever you want to use as an example. And Project Veritas, again, they've been doing a great job getting out there and actually doing investigative reporting instead of sitting in front of their computer and reading like mainstream media articles. And they basically showed that CBS, the all-seeing eye, totally faked a COVID-19 drive-through testing site line. And I had a few friends mention to me, they're like, I can't believe they did that. It's like, that's what they always do. It's just we don't always catch them. There's not enough investigative people out there. Hopefully there will be more, but anyway, I'll play it now. It's pretty. This is what they do. Every single thing you see on mainstream media, for the most part, is just made up lies. It's acting. It's like Hollywood.
You're telling me you're 100% certain that CBS News Corporation, National, staged a fake event. They faked the news. They faked the reality and broadcasted that to all of their audience last Friday on CBS This Morning.
100%, absolutely.
And apparently, the news crew wanted more people in the line because they knew it was scheduled.
Well, we knew they were coming. We had no clue that we were going to have to, do fake patients.
Gotcha. And did she tell you guys, hey, you're not actually getting tested?
Yeah. Yeah, she did. Just to make it look busy for the news because they were right there.
That's crazy. Well, I didn't see you guys do the swab at all. I just saw you talking with them. And then I was talking with the other girl. How did you guys feel on Monday, with the cars?
I mean, it's just annoying because we could have done other stuff,
Right.
But Smile and nod.
Yeah, because when I was talking to you guys that day, it sounded like you guys were a little frustrated, but
Yeah.
and no one told prepped you guys ahead of time.
Well, we knew they were coming. We had no clue that we were gonna have to do face patients.
I was talking with Maria, and she was telling me that it was Glenda Walker and Jody that were going around asking the screeners for volunteers.
Oh, really?
To come into the line.
Yeah. They probably just wanted it to look busy. It's my guess.
But the governor says testing above all else will help determine when to fully reopen.
And meanwhile, and you can't make this stuff up, Congress has been busy, very busy. And they put out, you can't make this up, Bill 6666, to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19 and related activities such as contact tracing through mobile health units and as necessary at individuals' residences and for other purposes. Bill number 6666. Like Bill Gates's vaccine tattoo is patent number 060606. Like, you think they'd maybe try to hide the agenda or something, but I guess most people don't have eyes to see or ears to hear, and they don't notice this stuff. It's pretty amazing. But there is some positives. Doesn't feel like it most of the time, but there is. And here's a cop in the US who actually said he's not going to uphold these orders, but he's one of the very few, in my opinion. And, you know, it's kind of funny how he talks. He's like, you know, that's unconstitutional. I'm not going to do anything that's unconstitutional. It's like half the things you do is unconstitutional. Your own pay, the way you get money is stolen. It's extorted. Where's that in the Constitution? You go around and he probably busts people and extorts them if they've got a plant in their pocket. That's not in the Constitution. But he's drawing the line at extorting people if they go to the beach or something. Wow, great. And not to like make fun of him too much, but because we need more cops like this, obviously. So I'll play a bit of it here.
You know, as a police officer, I'm compelled to make this video. I've been in law enforcement for 10 years, and I'm speaking to my peers, other fellow officers, people in any kind of law enforcement position. I've seen officers nationwide enforcing tyrannical orders against the people, and I'm hoping it's the minority of officers, but I'm not sure anymore, because every time I turn on the television, every time I look to the internet, I'm seeing people arrested or cited for going to church, for traveling on the roadways, for going surfing, opening their businesses, going to the park with their families, or doing nails out of their own house, using their own house as a place of business, and having undercover agents go there and arrest them and charge them with what? With a crime? I don't know what crime people are committing by doing nails in their own house, but we're seeing this more and more and more, and we need to start looking at ourselves as officers and thinking, is what I'm doing right? Now, I want to remind you that regardless of where you stand on the coronavirus, we don't have the authority to do those things to people just because a mayor or a governor tells you otherwise. I don't care if it's your sergeant or your chief of police. We don't get to violate people's constitutional rights because somebody in our chain of command tells us otherwise. It's not how this country works. Our power that we hold as law enforcement officers, it's nothing more than a facade. It's a badge and a gun. And people, you don't realize, if you haven't lived in anarchy, if you haven't seen combat, things can be stripped from people in a heartbeat. And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that these actions are going to wake a sleeping giant, i.e. the American people, okay? They are going to be put in a position where they won't have their rights trampled anymore. You know, you don't get to just say, well, I'm doing this because I was told to do so, or I'm following orders, or I need to keep this job. Guess what? I need to keep this job more than anybody. I have 3 young children. I have 2 houses. Like, I have the same sob story that the rest of you guys have. But my personal choices and my living arrangements, no matter what they are, don't allow me to trample on people's rights. And I don't understand why that concept is so hard for people to understand. Listen, you need to stand up for what's right. You need to, if you're part of a department or an agency that is asking people or asking their officers or their deputies to impose on people's rights and infringe on their freedoms, you need to step up and say, no, that's not me. That's not what I signed up for, and that's going against my oath. And if that costs you your job, so be it. At least you'll be able to look at yourself in the mirror at night.
And it's kind of funny too, you can kind of see what he's saying is he has a lot of fear that if they keep acting like complete Gestapo, like it's the Soviet Union or East Germany, people are going to start killing them. So he's actually doing this out of his own self-interest, which is what everyone does anyway. So I can't really fault him for that. But it is funny that he's basically like, listen, everyone's enslaved, we're extorting them every day, we're kidnapping them. If we do even more, they're going to start killing us. So that's the main reason he wanted to get that out there. And along the lines of other good news, in I think the Parliament of Italy, this politician actually said what is true and what is right, which is very, very, very rare. And it was pretty good. I really enjoyed watching this. So here it is.
Siamo alla vigilia del 25 aprile e occorre essere uniti contro le dittature e uniti nella verità. Non facciamo di questa l'aula della menzogna. Non il 26 febbraio, ma il 9 marzo la scienza qua evocata diceva che il virus era poco più che un'influenza. Quella scienza è quella a cui si è ispirato questo governo. È detto, è stato detto, è documentato, è stato detto, non mentite. Allora dite la verità, non fate di questa l'aula della menzogna. Almeno qui si applica il principio di Giambattista Vico, verum ipsum factum. E allora avete sentito e avete dato i numeri, li voglio dare anch'io, no Dattis, no Pagani, non dite anche qui 25.000 morti, non è vero, non usate i morti per retorica e per terrorismo. I dati dell'Istituto Superiore della Sanità dicono che il 96,3% sono morti per altre patologie. Esattamente i dati, i numeri, dice questo, è la verità, è la verità.
Colleghi,
valli a leggere,
collega,
esattamente così, li ho letti tutti. Il 60% sono morti per altre patologie, detto dall'Istituto Superiore della Sanità. Se non lo sai, studia.
Collega Sgarbi, si rivolga. Collega Sgarbi, collega Trizzino. Collega Sgarbi si rivolga alla Presidenza.
Sono i contagiati e mentre l'Italia è la zona rossa, qui tutti erano senza mascherine. Oggi Basini è accusato perché la deve portare per forza. Siete ridicoli, non l'avete portata fino all'altro ieri. È esattamente così. In Germania economia, sanità e scuola il 4 maggio funzioneranno perfettamente. Siamo uno Stato con minori diritti nell'Europa. Ho semplicemente detto che i numeri li danno tutti, ma non diano numeri falsi. Non sono morte in Italia 25.000 persone di coronavirus. Non è vero. È un modo per terrorizzare gli italiani e imporre una dittatura del consenso. È ridicolo.
Notice how he's speaking the truth and they all start ringing bells and making noise. Wow, that's quite the debate you got going on there. It'd be like me debating someone. I'd be like, I really like Like Lucy, I really like apples.
Yeah, it's true. I do.
And he's like, I don't like apples. And as he goes, here's why I don't like apples, I'm like, ding, 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 woo, woo, hiss, hiss. Oh, God. What planet are we on? What world do we live in that this is actually happening? And I kind of like the one comment he made. He said, oh, and by the way, I would have normally sent this to someone who spoke Italian and go, hey, is what the subtitles say right? But man, Italian is so close to Spanish, I almost understood everything. So as far as I could tell with my pretty good Spanish, the subtitles are totally right. And he said, look, even the Germans are like making us look like idiots again. That was pretty funny, actually. I thought that was funny. So there is a lot of people waking up. I've said this for a while and I'll say it again. We're kind of going to be left in a world where it's TV watchers versus non-TV watchers. Those who watch the television and get hypnotized and believe what they see on there versus those of us who actually use our brains and look into things and don't watch that programming. Those are going to be the two kind of classes of people here now. But there is a lot of positive stuff. There's a channel that put together a montage of all the protests of the lockdowns worldwide, and it's very inspiring. It's about 8 minutes long, but I want to play as much of it as I can. I'll just play like 2 minutes right now, and then at the end of this video, I'll play some more. So if you want some kind of uplifting type stuff, then just stay tuned to the end of the video. We'll play more at the very end.
This is the scene from the steps of the state capitol here in Lansing. I want to move out of the way and show you a look at this crowd, at least a couple thousand people here on the Capitol lawn.
People are here gathered in front of the main State House. Many of them are frustrated over the economic impact the coronavirus pandemic might have in Maine and in their small businesses if the state remains closed.
Beruflichen Aktivitäten ausgeschlossen. Es wird aber noch härter. Das Medizinprodukt.
Weil man uns die Freiheit klaut. Wir sind hier, wir sind laut. Weil man uns die Freiheit klaut. Wir sind hier, wir sind laut. Weil man uns die Freiheit klaut. Wir sind das Volk. 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 Wir sind das Volk.
So there is, oh, it's starting to rain a little bit. Uh-oh, Lucy, I know you don't like the rain. Yeah, not too much. Let's start heading home. Oh, we got some dogs here. This is cute. So there is a lot of positive stuff, but man, this is looking really like we're not gonna, fully make it. So we need to wake up more people. Lucy, 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 ven. Just like I gotta save Lucy here. Muy bien, Lucy, muy bien, muy bien. Lucy, ven. So, as I've been mentioning, we've made up a flyer and an ebook, and these flyers are meant for people to hand out. So the only chance I see of us having any hope of getting out of 1984 world right now is to wake up more people. And we're being wiped off YouTube, as you know. But your average person will never even find us on YouTube. We're not in the algorithms to be found. So one of the only ways I could think of to possibly wake up a lot of people is for every single person, this is what I've said in the past, it's going to take everybody doing something, and doing a lot even. And, you know, our videos lately have been averaging about 100,000 views or more across all channels, whether it's YouTube, Library, BitChute, Facebook. They're still on Facebook somehow, and others. So if every single person watching this video downloaded our flyer and printed out 100 of them and just went around their neighborhood, just like here, and just either talked to people, which I know is hard to do, most people are so brainwashed you can't even talk to them, or just put it in their mailbox. A flyer that shows what's really going on, and even has a link on it to an ebook that we're producing that will have a ton of information that these people have never had access to before. So if every single person watching this video, and please consider this is like our only hope basically now. I'm going to be living on a sailboat soon, and might not even be doing these videos much longer once everything gets really bad. But we have a chance still to stop it, but it's going to take us all doing a lot. And I'm not even saying to do a lot. We're talking about you right now going to dollarvigilante.com/flyer, FLYER, we'll have the link down below, printing up that flyer, print up 100 of them, and just hand them out wherever you can. Leave them at, well, I guess everything's closed, but leave them at grocery stores or wherever. Put it in people's mailboxes. Now think about this. About 100,000 people watch our videos. If every single person did this, and they printed out 100, that'd be 10 million flyers that could go out in the next day or so that will likely at least be seen, if everyone did it, by 10 million people. That's pretty amazing. Total cost, almost nothing, just your printing cost and your time cost, but most people have a lot of time right now. Just take you, or go out in the street and just hold it up, you know, as cars drive by, hand it out. Especially if you're more of a social, if you have social skills, or if you are pretty strong, because some people might try to attack you. So if you're kind of weak, or you're not very good social skills, just put it in people's mailboxes, or put it in places that people will find them. We could, for basically no cost, at least give 10 million people a chance of accessing this information. Now, obviously, a lot of them are just going to go, what is this crazy conspiracy theorist garbage? But a lot of them will read it, and they'll actually start to think about it. And they might not change immediately, but some of them might. So let's just say 10% do. That'd be 1 million people who'd be woken up. And as they find out more and become to realize what's really going on, they might start telling their friends. What if they told 5 of their friends? Now that's 50 million people. So, but everyone has to do it. If only like 500 people do it, it's not going to wake up enough people. So I hope everyone considers doing this. Go to dollarvigilante.com/flyer. It's free. You just go there, print out the flyer, print up 100 copies, and find a way to hand them out to people. If we do that, we have a chance of waking up enough people. Because if we can wake up a few million or 10 million, that's a lot. It doesn't take the whole society to understand something for there to be changes. In fact, there's been numerous kind of studies done on this. And the general sort of numbers I've heard is 5 to 10% of society needs to know something, and it'll eventually be known by society.
We've thought for a long time that it's possible for small groups committed to a cause to mobilize and change the established social norms in a population. Over the last 50 years, there have been really good observational studies of organizational culture and community activism that have tried to estimate the critical size necessary to trigger a tipping point in social change. The problem is when we try to figure out what could have happened if a group had been larger or smaller, it's hard to rewind the tape of history and play it again. And so what we wanted to do is to study this experimentally and see if we could in fact look again and again and again at how community activism might succeed or fail just by changing the size of the committed group. So wanting to figure out if this was possible, I developed a method where we could create online communities and study how changing the critical mass size in those communities would affect their capacity for social change. We recruited participants in the World Wide Web to become members in an online community, and we gave them financial incentives to all agree on a social norm. Once they had coordinated and established a norm for the entire community, then we incentivized a small group, a committed group of activists to push for change. Previous theories had suggested that 10% of a population might be sufficient to trigger change. Others had suggested that 12 or 15% might be sufficient. What we found in repeated trials is that once we hit the magic number of 25%, we saw a dramatic shift in the population behavior, where all of a sudden, very quickly, the majority of people in the population started using the new behavior. Our model shows that based on variations in the circumstances, the critical mass can change slightly, but 25% is a really good ballpark for where the tipping point is going to occur.
So we could do that on our own. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty incredible. We have that power. This is what I've been talking about all along. We have the power, but you have to actually do something. And if you're not even willing to print up 100 of these pages and just put them in if you live in an apartment building, it'd be super easy. Just 100 pages, put in each mailbox, done. 5 minutes, cost you almost nothing. You might have just helped change the world. But if no one does anything, we're going as the human race, as the world in general, it's going to be so bad you won't believe it. But we still have a chance, but this is basically it. And really what it'll be is between now and the next wave of crisis. Kill Gates has talked a lot about, well, this is just epidemic 1, we've got epidemic 2 coming.
Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
Like, they don't even hide it. And all the government guys are like, yeah, we might open up a bit, but I bet this is coming back in the winter. I'm sure it is too, because it doesn't even exist, but their propaganda will come back. We have between basically now and the next big one to wake people up. So we've got a few months maybe. Now it could go just straight into complete tyranny right now. It already is tyranny. And they might not just even ever stop. That's where it's at right now. But still, we still have a chance. As we showed in that lockdown protest video, and we'll show much more at the end of this, across the world, a lot of people are waking up. And a lot of people, here's human nature. I would guarantee you at least 10 or 20% of people in the world, minimum, probably more, are kind of thinking this is all not what they say it is. But they won't tell anyone that because they're too scared. Well, if they get a flyer in their mailbox and they go, oh, other people in my neighborhood also think this, that is a very, sorry about the noise, we've got tons of construction going on, which is awesome. They told everyone to shut down this weekend. I don't think anyone did. Love it. But that's how people's minds seem to work. I'm a bit different. I don't care if anyone else, if everyone in the world thinks I'm crazy, I'm going to say what I think. But most people aren't like that. They just don't have that kind of stupidity. Or they're missing a part of their brain like me where I just don't care what anyone thinks. So think about that. About 100,000 people are going to see this video. If every single person did it, we'd get this information in front of 10 million people in the next few days. Oh, and I should let you know, if you go and you download the flyer, it has a link to an ebook where we're going to have a lot more information. So it's kind of busy around here. We haven't finished the ebook yet, but it'll be done in the next day or so. But I wanted to get this flyer out there as soon as possible so you can start printing them up. And pretty much you can start handing them out pretty much today, because even if they go to where the ebook is, it'll just tell them the ebook could be up in any minute now, and even offer them to put up their email, and we'll let them know when it's out. But basically, by the time you see this video, we should be almost done. By the time you're printing up the flyers and by the time you hand them out, the ebook should be there. And I'm very open to suggestions on how we can improve both the flyer and the ebook. Lucy? Yeah, it's starting to rain. Let's, you know, finish up a little bit here. It is starting to rain a little bit. But I actually want to make a few more flyers. This one's a bit more financially focused. I want to do a flyer that's just on the health stuff. Just have links to Dr. Fauci says 0.1%, test kits, 80% false positive rate. Here's a link. If anyone wants to help us out with that, please feel free. Do up a one-page little flyer and go to our website, dollarvigilante.com, put contact us, and just let us know the flyer. Just put a link to it or share it with us. And if you want us to, we can share that as well. So hopefully soon we'll have a whole bunch of flyers there so you can choose one that you think works best for your area. But yeah, that's about the only chance we got right now, is enough people waking up. And it's going to be close. We're really on the cutting, like, it's so close to complete tyranny right now. And we just have to, that's the only thing I think we can really do. That and protect ourselves, right? And that's what I talk about all the time, is ways to do that, ways to profit, ways to get outside of these systems, that sort of a thing. And of course, we have that at our newsletter. If you want, dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. Tons of great info. I really don't know what to say. This is getting pretty close to beyond insanity. And there's no way this just goes away easily. This is, I don't know, this could go on for years and years, and I'm already tired of it. But what can I do except for try to wake people up? And that's the only thing that you can do too. So please share this video everywhere, and get those flyers and just start putting it in people's mailboxes. It's pretty amazing though to think about that we could do that. We could have, that'd be a huge advertising campaign. 10 million people receiving some advertising. This is not really advertising, but it's just letting people know they're being lied to. And for basically no cost, if everyone does their part, we could get this out to 10 million people. That's pretty amazing. And what if they just told their family? What if each of them has a family of 4 people? That'd be 40 million people would at least be exposed, because a lot of people aren't even exposed to this. A lot of people just watch television. Or they just go on YouTube, but they don't see any of this stuff because we're all deleted and shadow banned. So they're not even aware that it's possible they're being lied to. And you can make it so millions and millions and millions of people could at least have been exposed to this. And once you're exposed to something, that's the other thing about psychology. You've all probably gone through this. Even myself, I've gone through this many times, where someone comes up and they go, 9/11 was an inside job. In 2002, I'd be like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? But what it takes is more than one person to tell someone, and then they start to think about it. Because if someone goes to one person, 9/11 was an inside job, and they're like, you're crazy, I watched CNN, Wolf Blitzer said it's not. Anderson Cooper wouldn't lie. But then 2 days later, he's at the gym, and a guy who he knows says, I've been looking into this. 9/11 was an inside job. He'll be like, huh, someone just told me about that. Like maybe I should look into this. That's how it works. So it's really up to you. It's up to all of us. We're our only hope. We are the ones we've been waiting for, but we have to actually do something. So I hope y'all download that flyer. Let us know in the comments down below. I'll have my people read through. There's thousands of comments, so I can't read them all, but let us know if there's something you'd like to see changed about the flyer. Feel free to change anything on the flyer. Feel free to make up your own flyers. I don't care. We just got to get this information out there. And, soon it's basically going to be dogs like Lucy who are free, and dogs like Bruce who are enslaved in their house. Poor Bruce. And let's free everybody, including Bruce. Yeah, it's my boy. Muy bien, Bruce. Hey, let's get some apples. Oh, it's Polo. Yeah, let's get some apples. I feel like apples today. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I sure like these apples.
Carson here at Maine at the Huntington Beach Pier for the March to Reopen California protest. As you can see, there are lots of people here, all kinds of signs everywhere, lots of honking. This has brought people out from all walks of life to protest the governor closing down beaches in Huntington Beach.
Make Canada great again!
This was the protest we expected last week here in Trenton, but today they came out and they made their voices heard.
I love President Trump. He's the first president since Reagan to be a leader in this country, to stand for us and to have nuts.
Of popular anger have returned to the streets of Beirut. Despite an ongoing lockdown and a curfew, protesters have gathered outside the Lebanese central bank to demonstrate against the worsening economic conditions.
We think that coronavirus is not the only pandemic we're suffering from here in Lebanon.
So Lebanese people, they either have a choice to die from hunger or to die from corona.
Не було й приблизно того, що відбувається в Україні. Німці вже, наскільки я знаю, тиждень запрацювали майже в докарантинному режимі.
На сьогоднішній день кредити ніхто не відміняв. Пане Шмигалю, почуйте нас! На сьогоднішній день...
It's crazy. It's raining so much, and there's twice as many people out here than Olympia last month. This is insane.